Good afternoon, everyone. I'm really pleased that you can join me here um, this afternoon. Many of you might know me already, but for those of you who don't, I'm Austin Willett. I am Chief Executive of Different Strokes. I'm just going to give it a couple of minutes before we start properly, just to allow as many people as possible to join. And just so that I can get a message from my colleague to ensure this is coming through okay. This is actually the first one of these Facebook Lives that I've done, so obviously I just want to make sure that you're able to see and hear me properly. While we're waiting, before I start properly, just a couple of things that I'd really just like to promote. You might be aware that Monday to Friday at 11 o'clock here each morning we have our daily online exercise sessions. We have a range of instructors: Anthony on Mondays and Tuesdays, Matt on Wednesdays, Tahir on Thursday and Kieran on Fridays. They've been doing an absolutely fantastic job delivering exercise sessions that are relevant and specific for stroke survivors. We have a different level each day of the week, so hopefully you should be able to find a level that suits you. But if you haven't discovered them yet, please do visit this page at 11 o'clock each morning during the week and take advantage of the exercise sessions that we're doing. In addition, I'm following on from Satinder, who for the last 6 or 7 weeks has been taking this Thursday afternoon slot and delivering live talks here. And she's given an absolutely fantastic range of talks about how to cope during lockdown and examined various areas to do with health and well-being, such as diet, sleep, the importance of maintaining communication with other people, for example. If you haven't had a chance to view these short films yet that she's made, please do go to our YouTube page and you'll see some absolutely fantastic talks there from Satinder. So I think we're a couple of minutes past 2 now, so I'm going to make a start. And first of all, to introduce myself, as I said, I'm Austin. And I've worked for Different Strokes for about 2.5 years now. I joined the organisation in January 2018. My background is very much working in the charity sector. I've worked in this sector for more than 20 years now, typically running small to medium-sized charities such as the size that Different Strokes is. Immediately before this role, I worked for Headway, the brain injury charity, so obviously had fairly decent knowledge of strokes before I started work at Different Strokes. What I'd like to do this afternoon is tell you a little bit about what we've been doing at Different Strokes in the past 3 months, what our response has been to coronavirus, what our plans are going forward as well. Please do leave any comments that you can, and if you've got any questions, again, please do feed these in, and then I'll do my best to cover these at the end of the session. We have already been asked a couple of questions in advance of this, which I'll come on to later during this session. I suppose as a starting point, this here is my office at the moment. It doesn't particularly look like an office, and that's because it's my spare bedroom. And this is where I'm working at the moment, day in, day out. I'm typically popping into our main office maybe once a fortnight, something like that. But otherwise, like most of the country, I'm working from home right now. For me personally, this has its challenges. It is a challenge balancing my work responsibilities with my home responsibilities, looking after the kids and so forth. But I'm no different to millions of people up and down the country in that respect. And what's a huge help to me is that we have a fantastically supportive team. Like all organisations, everything changed for us around March time. We had to come up with a new way of working, and we had to come up and put that in place very, very quickly. We were fortunate in that we are fairly well set up already to be working from home. Myself and a number of my colleagues previously, would spend the odd day or two every now and then working from home. So all our IT systems were relatively well set up for that, and that wasn't a great problem. we still obviously were faced with a situation where the majority of us would be working from home. Our initial response back in March was to adopt a model of only one person going into the office at any given time to ensure that we could maintain guidelines to do with social distancing. But then within a week or so, it became apparent that that wasn't even going to work. And when the more stricter lockdown measures came in, we had to change to a system of everyone working from home remotely, as good as permanently. So now we maybe have one person popping into the office on a weekly basis in order to check any posts that we've got in or to send anything out that we need to. So, as I said, we were able to get ourselves established and working remotely relatively quickly. But then immediately we had to have a look at what existing services we'd still be able to run and what we wouldn't be able to run. And of course, the big main difference here was with groups. We have approximately 40 local groups up and down the country, delivering local exercise, delivering peer support to each other. And clearly, they weren't able to meet any longer, and we're not sure yet when they might be able to meet again. So that was an area of our work that unfortunately we've had to cease. In contrast, though, a lot of our work has been done online. Most people viewing this will be aware of the online support group that we have through Facebook and how beneficial that could be. And it's no great surprise that that's been busier over the last 3 months or so as people turn, more to online support. In terms of other areas that we've been doing, we've been able to continue with a lot of them as well. Our teen and young adult telephone befriending service has been continuing. And we've also put new systems in place so that we can still deliver phone support to people. So people now might not be able to get hold of us immediately if they phone the office, but they can leave a message which we're then able to pick up and respond to. And as a result of this, our stroke survivors who work in the office, Greg, Janice and Sheila, they've been able to pick up messages and return calls to stroke survivors, themselves. And we're also continuing to send out info packs as well. So if you do need an info pack, please do email us about that. It might take a little bit longer to get sent out to you because, as I said, we're typically only in the office once a week at the moment. But again, we can make arrangements to get them sent out to you. What's significant to us is that it hasn't just been day-to-day services that we've had to look at. And we've had to look at other plans for the year. We've had quite a lot of other plans beyond our day-to-day services that we were due to be doing this year. And a lot of them have had to be on hold. And the main one of those things that's had to be on hold is a lot of fundraising events that we were planning. Each year we do an abseil, and we had an abseil planned for May, which for obvious reasons has had to be postponed. And I guess because of this, like all charities, we are expecting a significant fall in income due to the effect of COVID-19 and not being able to undertake any fundraising events right now. And it's not just with fundraising events as well. We're also potentially anticipating a fall in individual donations and a drop in corporate support as individual people and of course the corporates, the supporters, for obvious reasons have to look after their own interests first before worrying which charities we can support. Of this, we made the decision to furlough staff in order to save costs. Now, I must stress the reason that we furloughed staff was not because we were considering redundancies, or it was not because of short-term cash flow problems, because we don't have short-term cash flow problems. But it's because with the drop in income that we're facing, we have had to look at maximising cost savings. And even with these savings, we're still expecting to make a substantial deficit in 2020. So as a result of this, 5 out of our 9 paid staff were furloughed, and 4 out of those 9 staff remain furloughed now. Once we made these decisions, and we were then down to 4 staff, myself and colleagues Greg, Sheila and Janice. The next question for us to address is, what was the best way that we can support stroke survivors? What do we need to do that's extra? Because what we didn't want to do was simply be doing the same thing putting on hold activities which we couldn't do, such as our groups, continuing with work that we could do, and then just waiting for lockdown to pass. Not least because none of us know how long the lockdown will continue for. So what was really important for us was that it was essential to recognise that the world has changed, that we're all leading very different lives now, and that we need to evolve our services to reflect this. Our response was we needed to come up with a new business plan, we needed to put previous priorities on hold, and we needed to develop new activities. First step for us to do this was to do an online survey to see what our beneficiaries' priorities are. We've always prided ourselves on being very much a peer-led organisation. We like to know what is important to our beneficiaries, to stroke survivors out there, who of course are the experts. And so, initially we did a survey to look at what things people would, really want to see that we could do and that we could deliver online. And based on the results of that survey, initially we came up with 3 new areas. The first thing that we've been doing is exercise sessions. And this was by far the most popular that people who responded to our online survey said that they'd like to see. The good thing about, so we've now started exercise sessions. We do these 5 days a week at 11 o'clock each weekday morning. And the really good thing about these sessions is that they're at 5 different levels. So they range from a level 1 session on a Monday, which is for people who have no movement or heavily restricted movement down one side, and which is all seated exercise, to on a Friday for more intense exercise for people who are able to walk reasonable distances independently. But we do them each weekday morning, and we've had really good feedback for that, which has been great to see. The second thing we introduced was talks from Sitinza, one of our trustees. She gave various talks about areas in the broad health and well-being area, and she's been doing them for the last 6 or 7 weeks. As it happens, this slot is now going to evolve more into a guest speaker slot. So starting maybe not next week, but hopefully in 2 weeks' time, we should have guest speakers in this slot at 2 o'clock each Thursday afternoon. And we're lining up sessions on areas such as legal issues, emotional ability, and a carer's perspective as well. The third area we've introduced has been weekly stroke survivor stories, if you like, stroke survivors in lockdown. And this, in a sense, is an extension of the weekly stroke survivor story that we put on our website each weekend. But this one's done by video, and of course the particular focus is on how people are coping at the moment, how they've been coping in the last 3 months since lockdown started. With everything that we do, always, and as always with these new services, we've tried to ensure that stroke survivors are at the heart of all the new activities that we're doing. So one of our exercise instructors is a stroke survivor himself, but all of our exercise instructors are people who have previously worked with a local different strokes group. So they have expert knowledge in what's appropriate exercise for stroke survivors. Linda, who's been giving talks, is a stroke survivor herself, and in future weeks the majority of guest speakers will be people who either we've worked with previously or people who are already highly experienced at working with stroke survivors. And as for our weekly video lockdown stories, well, essentially that's 2 stroke survivors having a conversation with each other about how they've been coping. Very much everything that we've done so far has been of benefit to you, but please do let us know. Please do continue to give your feedback on how you're finding the new services that we've done. And if there are specific areas that you'd like to hear experts talking, please let us know. And if you're interested in doing a video survivor story yourself, then again, please let us know because we'd love to hear from you. We're aware, though, that there's always more that we can do. And so now we're looking to move into the next areas, the next steps. From July, all being well, starting on Monday, the 6th of July, we will be doing weekly online Tai Chi sessions. As I said, they're planning on starting them a week on Monday. More details, including a preview of the sessions themselves, should follow about this very, very shortly. We're also in the early planning stages of a virtual conference this autumn. Originally, we had plans. In fact, we had more than plans. We had venues booked for 3 physical conferences in September and October this year. And we'd made arrangements for these conferences to take place in Glasgow, in Manchester, and in Stevenage. Unfortunately, we felt that we've had no option but to postpone them. We needed to make a decision on it relatively early, and there's still so much uncertainty about what the situation might be in September or October, that we just felt that we couldn't press ahead with our plans to have these conferences now. Hopefully, we'll be having them in the same venues as planned sometime during next year. But in their place, we will be having a virtual conference this year, and we'll be holding a number of online sessions over a period of a week. As I said, we're still in the relatively early stages of planning that, but more details might follow in due course. One of the really pertinent questions that I've been asked in advance of this talk today is whether the new online activities that we're doing are going to continue post-lockdown. I think the best way that I can answer that is to stress that I'm not particularly interested, we're not particularly interested as an organisation in just introducing a new service for a particular period, i.e. lockdown, and then dropping them again as soon as we're back to something that's approaching normality again. Yes, it's true to say that what we've been doing has been a direct response to us all being at home to the Covid-19 pandemic. But more than once in the last couple of months, I've had a conversation with a colleague, and it's gone along the lines of, what we're doing is really good here. You know, why didn't we think of this before? And all of these are activities that we feel strongly that there will remain a very real need for, even when we're able to socialise with each other again and our groups are able to start up again. Because not everyone is able to access our groups. Not everyone is able to freely leave their home in normal times. Ensuring that our online support stays at a very high level, and ensuring that more and more people can benefit from what we do is very, very important. It is obviously dependent upon resources and funding, and because there is a cost that comes with them. But it's absolutely guaranteed that we'll have that in place at least to the end of this calendar year, and hopefully, you know, funding and resources permitting, we'll be able to continue with them indefinitely. Another question that I've been asked, you know, before the meeting today is, have we considered virtual support groups using something like Zoom? I have to say personally, I'm very, very familiar with Zoom now. It's something that I hadn't heard of at all until about February, and now I seem to spend half my life on Zoom. So I'm a big advocate of it and know how well that it can work. I think in the context of our online support group, and if you think of our Facebook group that has something like 5,500 members, it wouldn't be practical to try and do anything with Zoom there, simply because of the sheer numbers of people. But where it would definitely work well, and where it does work well, is with our local groups, and our local groups that are unable to meet at the moment. So I have mentioned, you know, this to groups and group updates before, asking them to strongly consider Zoom as a way to keep in touch with each other. And of course, it's not just Zoom. WhatsApp is a really good way, you know, to keep in touch with each other, emailing, regular phone calls, and so forth. Going back to Zoom, if you are in a local group and would like to consider this, different packages with Zoom, but essentially the two main packages are, firstly, there's a free package where you can have 2 people can do a call with each other for an unlimited time period, or any number of people, or I think a maximum of 100, a large number of people can do a call with each other up to 40 minutes, and that's free. The second main package, which costs £14.39 a month, allows you to have calls with no time limits for up to 100 people. And that's as many calls as you want in the month with no extra charges. I would very much recommend this. If groups are interested in it, haven't got it set up yet, and would like, a bit of support from it, please do contact me. Please do email me about it. I am also aware, literally just of this morning, I have got a small amount of funding. If there are groups that have very few funds at the moment but would like to be able to get the pro package, that might be something that I'm able to support you with, so please do contact me on that. I'd really just like to thank all of you for your support so far. We do face challenges at the moment. We're currently trying to do more with less. We're delivering much more in the way of online services. We're doing this with reduced staff and reduced ability to raise funds. So we're always looking for ways that we can do more in fundraising. So again, please do contact us if you're interested in doing any kind of fundraiser on our behalf. And of course, if you'd like to find out more about our services, please do email us, info@differentstrokes.co.uk, or visit our website, www.differentstrokes.co.uk. Before I come on to questions, I think I'd really just like to say this, that we don't know how long the period of lockdown's going to last. We don't know exactly when we will get back to normality again, and exactly what normality looks like, when we get back to that stage, whether that's later this year or next year. But at some point in the future, I'll look back at this, and I'll look back at what the situation was in 2020 with this new way of working that we've had to put into operation. And I'm sure that what I'll remember most about this period is that once again, the Different Strokes community has showed just how amazingly supportive it is, to everyone, to each other on an individual basis, and to us as an organisation, as well. All the feedback that we've received in the last couple of months has been overwhelmingly positive, and that makes my job and my colleagues' job so much more easier and so incredibly rewarding. So thank you. I'm just going to have a look now to see if I've had any questions come in, and I can see I've had one come up asking when the local groups might be able to meet up again. That's a very difficult question to answer at this stage because there's so many variable factors. And I think what makes it difficult is that planning ahead and saying, well, we might be able to do this in August or September, again, is difficult because the COVID-19 situation is constantly evolving. I suppose, though, that before groups meet, there are a lot of issues that would have to be taken into consideration. Whether the individual members are vulnerable and need to be shielding, what the situation is regarding the premises that you work in, what the government guidelines are, how many people might be able to get together in an indoor setting. And the way that I would look at it is as a starting point, and I stress this is really only a starting point in the first stage. At a minimum, we'd need to wait until the guidelines change so that a certain number of people, be it 10, 12 people, if there are 10, 12 people in your group, are able to meet from different households in an indoor setting. We're not at that stage yet. I think the latest is that 2 different households can now meet in an indoor setting, but no more than that. So we are still some way off before people from a number of different households would be able to meet with each other indoors. So I think that really needs to happen before we're able to look at this in more detail. And of course, when that does happen, there will also be another whole range of issues that will still need to be considered then. I'm just going to have a final check, and I don't think there's been any more questions come through. So again, thank you very much for listening this afternoon. It's been great that you've been able to join me. Please do, please do give us your feedback. And if you've got any queries or any questions, please email us or contact us via the website. Thank you very much.